contract in Rodrigo Bentancur. We brought you the news yesterday that the Athletic reported that Bentancur is in advanced talks now to sign a new Spurs contract, and that has now been signed, sealed and delivered. As Tottenham say that we are delighted to announce that Rodrigo Bentancur has signed a new long-term contract with the club. It's interesting. I don't know why this is, but every time we announce a contract now, I think Romero's a bit different, but we don't seem to tell people. They don't seem to tell anyone when this contract is running till. This is no different. There's no length or anything. It just says long-term contract.
Very odd. I'm guessing it's a 3-year extension. I don't know. I'm just speculating.
If it is a 3-year extension, that will take him to what, till he's 31?
Yeah.
Yeah,
which is fine. Obviously, we'll see what his future holds long term. What I think is the good news. Obviously, it holds its value. Look, we are talking about a player who's at least worth 30-40 million pounds here. So the fact that we've retained that value is a good thing, and I think he's a good player as well. Obviously, we all hope we start seeing the best of him, and I think he's had a pretty good start to the season, and we're on that journey. But obviously, there are things he needs to work on, improve on. One thing I found interesting in the announcement, where is it? It's on the website. There was it was Thomas Frank who was talking about what Bentancur offers, and I thought it was quite interesting what he was saying. Where is it? Trying to get the announcement. So here, what he said was, for the Frank quotes, he said. Maybe it was on Twitter. He said basically he's a player who likes to dictate the game and likes to set the tone of the game, and he can also get in the box, he can also score goals. And it's like, okay, that's quite interesting way of thing for Frank to say, because that's kind of not how he's used him, and that's not really how we've seen him so far. He's kind of used him more as a defensive midfielder. And these are things that obviously a lot of fans have complained about Bentancur, not necessarily scoring, because no one's really expected that of him, but like setting the pace of a game, dictating a game, being like a deep line playmaker. Frank's kind of insinuating that's going to be his role, and I find that quite interesting, because that's something that a lot of people say first of all he can't do, and that's not what kind of player he is. But is that how Frank sees him?
Well, the thing is with Bentancur, I do think he's got that kind of skill set in his locker. And I think we saw that kind of skill set in his locker before that injury. But we haven't seen it on a consistent basis since that injury. So Frank obviously knows Bentancur as a player, what he's been about for the majority of his career, and he's backing himself to get the best back out of him. Because I think all those facets that you're talking about, we have seen that in his career. Maybe not consistent goal scoring, but dictating the tempo, being a deep line playmaker.
I think what's interesting is maybe more at Juve we saw that kind of element to his game. He was more of that kind of player at Juve, like more of a number 6 who likes to get on the ball and kind of spray past, dictator. At Tottenham, he was at his best under Conte, when he was kind of more of like a box to box, driving forward, ball carrying ability, taking players on, being able to turn on the ball. I've never really felt like, I'm not saying he's a bad passer, but I've never really felt like his biggest strength of being someone who gets on the ball and can pass through the lines and dictate the play and stuff like that. I've never seen that as his like biggest strength, I feel.
Do you not think he's got it in him though? Like from what I'd seen of him and what I know from his play, I do think he has it in him to do that.
I mean, potentially. I just never. I don't think that's since being at Tottenham, I don't think that's been his biggest strength. I'm trying to get the full quote. I can't find it anywhere. Where did I see it? I can't find. Where is it?
Well, you've said what the quote is.
I know. I don't know if I'm misremembering it, but I'm just trying. I want to be accurate in what he said, because I thought it was quite interesting. I think anyway, I'll try and find it, but I think he has those capabilities. I think he's like I think he's capable of that, and when he's but that's just not what he's been at Tottenham. That's all I would say. So it's interesting that's how Frank sees him, So maybe we'll start to see more of those things come out of him.
I hope so, but it's all up to him. It's all up to Rodrigo Bentancur to show consistent form, and whether he shows those kind of facets or not, we need to see consistent performances and
So here it is.
consistently good performances.
He says he's a fantastic midfielder who can dictate games and be the glue that holds the team together. He also has the ability to arrive in the penalty area, create goals and score goals.
The thing is, though, that kind of sitting deep and dictating tempo, that is the kind of role he does for Uruguay.
Yeah. And he also did that for Juve. That was kind of his more role at Juve. Tottenham's been quite different since he's been here. So, look, we'll see how that develops. Maybe we'll see a different side to Bentancur.
But again, it doesn't change the fact that I don't want to see him and João Palhinha in the same midfield against these kind of teams that we've been playing against, like your Wolves and your Bournemouths.
Well, if he becomes good at these elements of the game, then maybe it can work. If this is what Frank is saying. Frank is saying he can dictate games, create goals, score goals, get a rival in the penalty area. That's what we need to see more of him if he's going to play with Paulinho. We need to see more of him doing that stuff. The problem is when they're playing together, I ain't seen him do this.
The thing is, no, I get what you're saying, but the thing is, against these kind of teams, when we're going to ask to have the majority of the possession, we're going to ask to drive forward. If he's going to be that kind of deep lying playmaker, then we don't need João Palhinha in the team. Have him in the six doing all those things, and then have him next to, more attacking players.
But it's interesting. He doesn't talk about doesn't say he's a destroyer, he's a warrior. He doesn't compliment his defensive skills. He compliments other facets.
Yeah,
which I also find quite interesting. Does he not see him as a defensive midfielder? Maybe.
Well, the way he's used him so far, maybe not from what we've seen on the pitch, but maybe who he's been playing with on the pitch when next to a João Palhinha, maybe he doesn't see him as a defensive midfielder.
But he also, Boda, he played him with Sarr and with Bergvall. I think Doncaster.
I think he sees him as a multifunctional midfielder. That's what he sees him as. I don't think he's going to put him in one particular box. Because I think Rodrigo Bentancur, for me, I see him as more of a 6. I don't see him as like an attacking midfielder or anything like that. I could see him as a box-to-box.
I've always thought him as more of an 8, I think.
A box-to-box, like 8/6, I guess. I think 6/8, I mean.
When he was at his best for Spurs, in that little period, he was an 8. That was when I think he was at his best for us. And when he was playing for Uruguay at that moment as well. He was getting forward.
He plays doesn't he play for more Uruguay in a deeper role now?
Now he does, but when he was that World Cup, he didn't. That World Cup, he was an 8.
Yeah, you're talking nearly 4 years ago now, though.
Still, I'm just saying that was when he was at his best. And remember under Conte, he was scoring goals. Like I remember that brace he got against Leeds.
Yeah,
we beat them 4-3. Like he was getting in the box and he was scoring and he was creating chances. Like I remember Bielsa was saying he's one of the midfielders for me that can do everything. He's like amazing defensively and he's really good going forward. He was like really complimenting everything. So look, my only point would be. He says a lot of these things. I'm just saying when he has played under Frank, we haven't seen any of this stuff that he's talking about he can do. So I don't know whether it's he's being asked to do it and he just hasn't, or Frank's not asking him to bring these elements into the game. I don't know what's going on. I'm just saying it'll be fantastic if what Frank is saying we can see a bit more on the pitch when he's playing. Because if he can bring more of these elements, then I think he can play with Paulinho.
Do you feel with Rodrigo Bentancur now he's signed this extension? Let's say for argument's sake, we don't know for sure, but let's say for argument's sake it is 3 years. Do you think we will keep him for those 3 years, or do you think in the next couple of years we'll look to sell him?
It's tough to predict. I think most likely we might look to sell him because I think he's the kind of guy who wouldn't mind going La Liga or something like that. If Atletico, maybe he wouldn't mind a move. It depends how important he is to us. I think if he gets back to, and we've always said it, but if he can start implementing some of this, is what Frank is saying, and become that kind of player, that multifaceted player, and put in really consistent performances, there's no reason to want to get rid of him. And I think we could keep him, but if he's still being a bit like how he is now, being consistent, good some games, but never really reach that level consistently, then I wouldn't be surprised if we take a good offer.
Yeah. The way I see it, I like Bentancur. I think he's a very good player, very solid player, and, he's got a good head on his shoulders. But I think he's got this season to really prove his consistency. And I think if he doesn't prove his consistency this season, because it's been a while now since the ACL, I think if he doesn't prove his consistency this season, I think they could even look to sell him this summer.
Yeah, I think, look, at the end of the day, you got Gray now. Paulinia's showing good stuff. So if they're showing what we require and he's not, then he'll be out the door.
Yeah, and you can get a decent fee.
Yeah, you can get 30-40 million for him.
Yeah. But look, that's the Bentancur contract. Congratulations, Rodrigo Bentancur. What is that, the second contract he signed at this football club?
Guess so.
Yeah, it must be. So congratulations to Rodrigo Bentancur. He has signed on the dotted line, and we're going to move on. And
Actually, maybe not necessarily, because he signed in 2021. It could have been like a 4-year deal, 5-year deal.
Yes, a second contract.
What, you saying the first one when he signed?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, fine. I thought not since he signed, yeah.
Yeah. Next up, we're going to